The night shift at the Outer Rim Defense Station was always quiet. Commander Hyun-woo sat in his chair, watching the screens that showed thousands of ships moving through space. He had been doing this job for 30 years. Nothing exciting ever happened during the night shift. The station was huge, floating in space near the edge of known territory. It belonged to the Valtorian Empire, one of the 12 great civilizations that formed the Galactic Council. The Council had kept peace in the galaxy for 3,000 years. Every ship, every civilization, every planet was recorded in their massive database. They knew everything about everyone, or so they thought. Mireille was young, only 3 years out of the academy. She worked the sensor station, watching for anything unusual. Most nights she saw nothing but registered ships following their approved routes, merchants carrying goods, passenger vessels moving between planets, military patrols doing their rounds. Everything normal and boring. Then her screen started beeping. At first she thought it was a mistake. The sensors showed something approaching from outside mapped space. That area was called the Dark Zone, a region full of dangerous stellar storms and unstable stars. No one went there. No one could survive there, but the reading was clear. Something was coming, and it was moving fast. Very fast. She checked the database, searching for a match. Every known ship design was recorded there, from ancient cargo haulers to the newest military vessels. She ran the scan 3 times. The computer came back with the same answer each time. No match found. Mireille felt her heart beat faster. In 3 years, she had never seen this message. She turned to Commander Hyun-woo. "Commander, I have an unidentified contact. It's not in the registry." Hyun-woo stood up and walked to her station. He looked at the screen, his experienced eyes studying the data. The ship's energy signature was strange, unlike anything he had seen before. Its speed was impossible. According to the readings, it was moving faster than the theoretical maximum for any known propulsion system. "Run a full diagnostic," he said calmly. "Check if the sensors are malfunctioning." Mireille's fingers flew across her controls. The diagnostic came back clean. The sensors were working perfectly. The ship was real. Hyun-woo called over Do-yeon, their communications specialist. Do-yeon was good with languages, knowing all the major galactic tongues and most of the minor ones. If anyone could make contact with an unknown ship, it was him. "Try to hail them," Hyun-woo ordered. "Use standard first contact protocols." Do-yeon sent out signals in 12 different languages. He tried mathematical sequences, universal greetings, even basic binary code. The ship received every message. The sensors showed that clearly. But it didn't respond. It just kept coming, steady and silent. The command center grew tense. Other officers gathered around the sensor displays. Everyone knew what this meant. In 3,000 years of galactic peace, there had never been an unregistered ship. Never. Every civilization was known. Every species cataloged, every vessel documented. Hyun-woo made the call he never thought he would make. He contacted Fleet Admiral Jiwan at Valtorian High Command. The Admiral answered immediately, her face appearing on the screen. She looked tired but alert. "Admiral, we have a situation. Unidentified vessel approaching from the Dark Zone. No registry match. Not responding to hails." Jiwan's expression changed. Her eyes went wide for just a moment before her military training took over. "Send me all the data. I'm calling an emergency council session. Put 3 patrol cruisers on standby." Within an hour, the Galactic Council was in emergency session. Representatives from 12 species gathered in the Great Chamber on Unity Prime, the capital station. They all received the same data. They all asked the same questions. No one had answers. Back at the defense station, Mireille watched the unknown ship get closer. She studied every detail the sensors could capture. The hull material was strange, reflecting scans in ways that made no sense. The ship's shape was smooth and efficient, designed by someone who understood physics very well. Maybe too well. The most disturbing thing was the trajectory. The ship wasn't wandering. It had a destination. It was heading straight for the inner systems, where billions of people lived on hundreds of worlds. Hyun-woo received authorization from Admiral Jiwan. 3 patrol cruisers launched from the station, moving to intercept. Each cruiser carried 50 crew members and enough firepower to destroy a small moon. They were the pride of the Valtorian fleet. The cruisers moved into position, forming a barrier between the unknown ship and the inner systems. Captain Sung-hoon commanded the lead cruiser. He was young but skilled, chosen for his quick thinking in difficult situations. His orders were clear: intercept and establish contact. Use force only as a last resort. As the patrol cruisers approached weapons range, something impossible happened. The unknown ship changed direction without slowing down. It made a perfect 90-degree turn at full speed. According to physics, that was impossible. The forces involved would tear any ship apart. But this vessel did it easily, smoothly, as if the laws of physics were just suggestions. In the command center, everyone stared at their screens in silence. That single maneuver told them more than any database could. This ship was built with technology far beyond anything the Galactic Council possessed. Mirai noticed something else in the data. She ran the numbers twice to be sure, then showed them to Hyunwoo. The ship's power output was increasing, not quickly but steadily. It was as if the vessel had been running at minimum power and was now slowly waking up. "Commander," she said quietly, "I think it's been holding back. What we've seen so far might not be its full capability." Hyunwoo felt a chill run down his spine. 30 years of service had taught him to trust his instincts. Right now, those instincts were telling him that everything was about to change. The comfortable galaxy they knew, where everything was mapped and recorded and understood, was gone. This ship represented something new, something unknown, something that could do things they thought were impossible. The patrol cruisers maintained their position, waiting for orders. The unknown ship continued its approach, silent and mysterious. Across the galaxy, defense fleets went on high alert. Billions of people had no idea that their safe, predictable universe was about to meet something completely unexpected. In the council chamber, the 12 species argued and debated. Some wanted to attack immediately, others urged caution and diplomacy. A few suggested evacuation of nearby systems. Admiral Jiwan listened to them all, knowing that whatever decision they made, it would shape the future of the entire galaxy. And still, the mysterious ship came closer, its intentions unknown, its capabilities frightening, its very existence challenging everything the Galactic Council thought they knew about the universe. Hyunwoo stood in the command center, watching the screens, and wondered what they had found, or rather what had found them. Captain Sung-hoon had never been more nervous in his life. His patrol cruiser was one of the most advanced ships in the Valtorian fleet. It had quantum targeting systems, plasma shields, and engines that could push it to incredible speeds. He commanded a crew of 50 highly trained officers. They were ready for anything, or so he thought. The unknown ship hung in space ahead of them, about 1,000,000 kilometers away. At that distance, Sung-hoon could see it clearly on his screens. It was beautiful in a strange way. The hull was dark but reflected light oddly, like oil on water. The shape was smooth and purposeful, with none of the bulky additions that most ships needed for power systems and weapons. "All ships maintain formation," Sung-hoon ordered. "Weapons charged but not targeted. Remember, we're here to talk, not fight." His second officer, a veteran named Tae-hyung, watched the sensor readings with concern. "Captain, that ship's power output just increased again. It's still rising." Before Sung-hoon could respond, the unknown ship moved. It didn't accelerate gradually like normal vessels. It simply went from stationary to maximum speed instantly. The patrol cruisers tried to follow, but within seconds the mysterious ship had gained distance. It was pulling away from them easily. "Maximum engine power," Sung-hoon ordered. "Don't let it escape." The 3 cruisers pushed their engines to the limit. Warning alarms sounded as the system strained beyond normal operational parameters. The ships shook from the stress, but even at maximum power they fell further behind. The unknown vessel was simply faster, much faster. Back at the Galactic Council chamber, chaos erupted. Representatives from 12 different species shouted at each other. The huge room echoed with angry voices in dozens of languages. Council leader Hanul tried to maintain order. She was old, experienced in the ways of diplomacy. She had negotiated peace treaties between hostile species. She had solved resource disputes that could have led to wars. But this was different. This was something completely new, and none of her experience helped. "We must respond with force," shouted the Zeleni representative, a warrior species that valued strength above all else. "Send the battle fleets. Destroy this intruder before it reaches our worlds." "We know nothing about them," countered the Brevik delegate, a species of scientists and philosophers. "Attacking could be disastrous. What if they have peaceful intentions?" What if they're more powerful than we imagine? More powerful? The Zeleni representative laughed bitterly. Nothing is more powerful than the combined might of the Galactic Council. We have kept peace for 3,000 years because everyone knows we cannot be challenged. But even as he spoke, doubt crept into his voice. That single ship had done things no council vessel could do. It had made maneuvers that violated physics. It had speed that surpassed their best technology. If one ship could do that, what could a fleet do? On the research vessel Enlightenment, Dr. Borum worked frantically. She was the Empire's leading astrophysicist, known throughout the galaxy for her brilliant mind. Now she analyzed every scrap of data collected about the mysterious ship. The numbers made no sense. The ship's energy signature suggested a power source far more efficient than antimatter reactors. The Council's best ships used antimatter, and that technology had taken centuries to perfect. This unknown ship used something else, something that produced more power with less fuel. The hull composition was equally baffling. The scans showed alloy combinations that shouldn't be stable. The metals should repel each other at the molecular level. But somehow they bonded perfectly, creating a material stronger and lighter than anything the Council could manufacture. It's as if they understand physics better than we do, Dr. Borum muttered to her assistant, like they've discovered principles we haven't even theorized yet. While scientists and politicians argued, archivist Jung-ho sat alone in the Council's historical library. He was old, even for his long-lived species. He had spent his entire life studying the past, preserving records that dated back thousands of years. Something about this situation felt familiar. He searched through ancient texts, records from before the Council was formed. Most people ignored these old files. They were considered myths and legends, stories from less enlightened times. Then he found it. A fragment from the First Age, written in a dead language that few could still read. It spoke of ghost ships from the void, vessels that appeared during the Great Silence. That was a period when several civilizations mysteriously vanished, their colonies found empty, their ships abandoned. The text described ships that moved like thought, machines that bent the rules of reality, and beings who had mastered their star while others still lived in caves. But everyone dismissed these stories as primitive superstition. Civilizations didn't just vanish. That was impossible. Until now, Jung-ho had believed that too. Now he wasn't so sure. The chase continued for hours. Captain Sung-hoon's cruisers fell further behind, despite running their engines beyond safe limits. The engineering teams warned of imminent failure if they didn't reduce power. Sung-hoon faced an impossible choice: risk destroying his ships or let the intruder escape. Then the unknown ship changed course again. This time it headed directly toward Valtoria Prime, the homeworld of the Empire. 8 billion people lived on that planet. It was the seat of government, the center of culture, the heart of everything. Valtorian Admiral Ji-won made her decision. She authorized deployment of the 7th Battle Fleet, 60 warships including 3 dreadnoughts and a dozen heavy cruisers. If this unknown vessel wanted to threaten her homeworld, it would face the full might of the Valtorian military. The fleet formed up between the mysterious ship and Valtoria Prime. Millions of people on the planet's surface looked up at the sky, knowing something was happening but not understanding what. The government issued calm statements about routine military exercises. No one believed them. Back at the defense station, Mireille monitored everything. Commander Hyun-woo stood beside her, his face showing the stress of the past days. Neither had slept much. The coffee station had been emptied and refilled 3 times. "Commander," Mireille said suddenly, "the ship is broadcasting something. It's not in any language we know. It's mathematics." Pure mathematics was the universal language. Numbers meant the same thing to everyone, everywhere. If you wanted to communicate with someone who shared nothing else in common, you used math. The data streamed in. Dr. Borum was contacted immediately. She worked for 6 hours straight, translating the mathematical sequences into something readable. When she finished, her hands were shaking, not from fear but from excitement and disbelief. The message was simple and direct. It requested permission to establish diplomatic contact. The ship identified itself as representing a species called humanity, from a planet called Earth. It stated its purpose clearly: peaceful exploration and cultural exchange. Dr. Borum checked the galactic registry immediately. She searched for Earth. She searched for humanity. Nothing. Those names appeared nowhere in the database. This species, this civilization, simply did not exist in any council records. The message included coordinates for a meeting and a simple conclusion. We mean no harm. We simply wish to talk. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. 60 warships floated in space, weapons charged, crews at battle stations. One mysterious vessel waited at the specified coordinates, alone and seemingly unconcerned by the massive military force arrayed against it. Council leader Hanul called an emergency session. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Galactic Council faced a completely unknown species. They had protocols for first contact, written ages ago when such things were still possible. No one had expected to actually use them. Admiral Jaiwan received her orders. Prepare a diplomatic team. Approach the unknown ship. Make contact with these humans, whoever and whatever they were. Commander Hyunwoo volunteered immediately. Despite his exhaustion and fear, he knew this moment would define history. Someone had to step forward and meet the unknown. Someone had to take the first step into whatever future awaited them. As preparations began, one question dominated every conversation across the galaxy. Who were these humans? And how had they remained hidden for so long? The diplomatic shuttle was small and unarmed. Commander Hyunwoo sat in the passenger compartment with 4 others. Dr. Borum kept checking her equipment nervously. Communications specialist Doyen practiced phrases in different languages, though he knew none would work. Archivist Jungho carried a data tablet full of historical records. Security Chief Taehyung remained silent, his hand never far from his sidearm. Through the viewport they could see the human ship. It was called the Pathfinder, according to the messages they had received. Up close it was even more impressive. The hull had a quality that seemed almost alive, like it could adapt and change. No visible weapons, but that meant nothing. Advanced civilizations could hide weapons very well. They're opening a docking port, the pilot announced, extending an airlock tube. Atmosphere compatible with ours. Of course they knew the atmosphere was compatible. These humans had been scanning everything for days. They probably knew more about the Galactic Council than the Council knew about them. The shuttle docked with a gentle thud. Hyunwoo stood first, straightening his uniform. He looked at his team. They were scared. He was scared too, but someone had to go first. Someone had to step into the unknown. Remember, he said quietly, we represent every species in the galaxy. Whatever happens here today changes everything, so let's make sure it changes for the better. The airlock opened. Beyond it stood 4 figures. They were bipedal, similar in basic structure to Valtorians and several other council species. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. But the similarities ended there. These humans moved with a grace that suggested deadly efficiency. Their eyes scanned constantly, missing nothing. They smiled, but behind those smiles lay something sharp and aware. The human in front stepped forward. He wore what appeared to be a formal uniform, dark blue with silver insignia. His face was friendly, but his posture spoke of military discipline. Welcome aboard the Pathfinder, he said in perfect Valtorian. I am Captain Hajun. This is Ambassador Nari, Engineer Gyu and Xenobiologist Sujin. We are honored to meet you. Doyen gasped. The human spoke flawless Valtorian, accent perfect, grammar exact. It had taken weeks for them to decode the mathematical messages. The humans had learned an entire language in that time. Hyunwoo introduced his team, trying to hide his surprise. Captain Hajun led them through the ship's corridors. The interior was elegant and functional. Soft lighting, clean lines, everything designed with purpose. The technology was everywhere but never obtrusive. Screens displayed information without cluttering the walls. The air had a pleasant scent, something floral that helped people relax. They reached a conference room. A table with comfortable seats, displays on the walls, and a viewport showing the stars. Ambassador Nari gestured for them to sit. She was tall for a human, with dark hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see right through them. I know you have many questions, she began. We will answer them all honestly. Humanity believes in transparency, especially when meeting new friends. Where do you come from? Hyunwoo asked directly. How did you remain hidden for so long? Nari smiled. We come from a planet called Earth. It's located in what you call the Dark Zone, about 300 light-years from here. Your people avoid that region because of the stellar storms and unstable radiation. It's considered too dangerous for exploration. We grew up there, Captain Hajun added. To us, it's not dangerous. It's home. Dr. Borum spoke up, her scientific curiosity overcoming her nervousness. But the radiation levels there would be lethal to most species. How do you survive? Earth is what you might call a death world, xenobiologist Sujin explained. High gravity, volatile atmosphere, dangerous weather patterns. But life adapts. We adapted. Our biology is more robust than yours. We evolved to handle conditions you would find impossible. The humans shared data about their planet. The Valtorian team watched in growing amazement. Earth had weather systems that could destroy cities. Volcanoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes. The oxygen levels were high enough to be toxic to most galactic species. The gravity was 30% higher than standard. The predators were numerous and deadly. How did you not just survive but thrive? Hyunwoo asked, genuine wonder in his voice. We had no choice, Ambassador Nari said simply. Adapt or die. So we adapted. We learned, we built. Every challenge made us stronger. Every problem forced us to innovate. Engineer Gyu offered to show them the ship. Dr. Borum practically jumped out of her seat. They moved through the corridors to the engine room. When the doors opened, Borum stood frozen, staring at what lay beyond. The engine was beautiful. Crystalline structures pulsed with energy, magnetic fields woven in patterns that should be impossible to maintain, power flowing through systems that the Galactic Council had theorized about but never managed to build. This is a quantum displacement drive, Engineer Gyu explained with obvious pride. It manipulates space-time at the quantum level, allowing faster-than-light travel without the energy costs of traditional methods. We developed it about 200 years ago. 200 years. The Council had been researching quantum displacement for 1,000 years and concluded it was impossible. These humans did it in centuries. Gyu continued the tour, pointing out various systems. Fusion-fission hybrid reactors for power. Artificial intelligence that assisted but never controlled. Hull materials that could self-repair. Gravity manipulation for both propulsion and defense. Everything had backups and the backups had backups. Humans apparently hated single points of failure. You've been spacefaring for 500 years, Dr. Borum calculated, studying the technology timeline. You've achieved in 5 centuries what took the Council species thousands of years. Necessity drives innovation, Gyu replied. When survival depends on solving a problem, you solve it. When you face challenges every day, you get good at overcoming them. Back in the conference room, the conversation shifted to culture and philosophy. Archivist Young-ho asked about human history. Ambassador Nari's expression grew serious. Our history is violent, she admitted. We fought ourselves for thousands of years. Wars over resources, territory, beliefs. We nearly destroyed our planet 3 times. Once with conventional weapons, once with nuclear fire, and once with biological warfare that killed 1 billion people. The room fell silent. 1 billion people? The scale of that tragedy was hard to imagine. But each time we learned, Nari continued. Each disaster taught us lessons. We learned that isolation breeds conflict. We learned that cooperation creates opportunity. We learned that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. When we finally reached space, we brought those lessons with us. Why come here now? Hyunwoo asked. Why reach beyond your isolated sector? Captain Hajun answered. Because we must. Humanity spent too long confined to one planet fighting itself. Then we expanded to one system and continued fighting. Then to one region. And still we found reasons for conflict. Space taught us that exploration creates unity. The unknown gives us purpose beyond our petty disagreements. We came seeking others because we know now that we're better together than apart. You want to join the Galactic Council? Hyunwoo asked. We want to learn from you, Nari replied. And perhaps teach you some things too. We want to share our culture and experience yours. We want to trade, explore, and build relationships. We've been alone for too long. The universe is too vast and too wonderful to experience by ourselves. The meeting lasted hours. They discussed technology, culture, politics, and philosophy. The humans answered every question with remarkable honesty. They hid nothing, shared freely, and showed genuine interest in learning about the Council species. As the Valtorian team prepared to leave, xenobiologist Sujin mentioned something that made everyone pause. The Pathfinder is an exploration vessel, she said casually. Lightly armed, crewed mostly by scientists and diplomats. We're built for discovery, not conflict. Security Chief Tae-hyung, who had been quiet throughout, finally spoke. And your military vessels? Captain Hajun's smile didn't reach his eyes. We hope you never have reason to see those. The words hung in the air like a warning and a promise. As the shuttle detached and headed back to the fleet, Dr. Borum whispered to Hyunwoo, "If this is their science ship, what do their warships look like?" Hyunwoo had no answer, but he suspected they would all find out eventually. The question was whether they would meet those warships as friends or enemies. That decision now rested with the Galactic Council. 6 months had passed since first contact. The human embassy now stood on Unity Prime, the capital station of the Galactic Council. It was a beautiful building, designed to blend human and galactic architectural styles. Glass and metal curved upward, creating a structure that seemed both alien and familiar. Ambassador Nari led a delegation of 50 humans. They included diplomats, scientists, teachers, artists, and security personnel. They adapted to galactic life with disturbing speed. Within weeks, humans were speaking multiple languages fluently. They learned social customs that took other species months to master. They seemed to understand instinctively how to navigate the complex politics of 12 different civilizations. Not everyone was happy about this. The Galactic Council had split into 3 groups. Council leader Hanul led those who welcomed humanity. They saw potential allies, friends who could bring fresh ideas and new perspectives. The Valtorian delegation supported full integration enthusiastically. Commander Hyunwoo, now promoted to admiral, served as the primary liaison to human forces. The Brevik scientists formed the second group. They weren't hostile, just cautious. They wanted more time to study humanity, to understand their technology and culture before making permanent commitments. They worried about technological imbalances disrupting the careful order the Council had maintained for millennia. The third group was the most troubling. Warlord Kyungsoo of the Zeleni Empire led the opposition. The Zeleni were warriors proud of their military strength. They had the most powerful fleet in the Council. They believed strength maintained peace, and they saw humanity as a threat to that strength. "They are predators," Kyungsoo declared in council meetings. "Look at their history. Constant warfare. Billions dead from their own conflicts. They come from a death world where only the strongest survive. Do you think such creatures can truly be peaceful?" Ambassador Nari responded calmly every time. "Yes, our history is violent. We don't hide that. But we learned from it. Every mistake taught us. Every war showed us the price of conflict. We came here not despite our history, but because of it. We know what happens when species remain isolated and afraid." The debates continued for months. Then the Zeleni made a mistake. Without authorization from the Council, 3 Zeleni battlecruisers entered the Dark Zone. They claimed it was a routine patrol, but everyone knew the truth. They were testing humanity's response. They wanted to see what these humans would do when threatened in their own territory. The human response came within minutes. 2 vessels appeared on sensors. Not exploration ships like the Pathfinder. These were military frigates designated as the Relentless and the Defiant. They were smaller than the Zeleni battlecruisers but moved with predatory grace. Captain Minho commanded the Relentless. His voice came across all channels, calm and professional. "Zeleni vessels, you have entered human-protected space without permission. Withdraw immediately or face consequences." The Zeleni commander laughed. "You dare threaten us? We are 3 capital ships. You are 2 small frigates. Do not test us, humans." What happened next became legendary throughout the galaxy. The human frigates didn't fire weapons. They didn't need to. They activated systems the Zeleni had never seen before. Electronic warfare suites paralyzed the battlecruiser's communications. Point defense systems created an impenetrable shield, intercepting test shots with 98% accuracy. Stealth technology made the frigates vanish from sensors, reappearing kilometers away in seconds. Then the frigates demonstrated their weapons. They fired precisely calibrated energy beams that disabled the battlecruiser's shields without damaging the hulls. The Zeleni ships hung in space, defenseless and blind, their weapons offline and their sensors dark. "Now," Captain Minho said quietly, "will you withdraw, or shall we continue this demonstration?" The Zeleni retreated. 3 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy fled from 2 human frigates without firing a single shot in return. The incident was broadcast across the galaxy. Everyone saw what happened. Everyone understood what it meant. Humanity's military technology wasn't just advanced. It was generations beyond anything the Council possessed. Warlord Kyungsoo's opposition became more desperate. He secretly assembled a coalition of militant factions. They began planning something that would force the Council's hand. Meanwhile, human culture spread through galactic society like wildfire. Their music played in every city. Their art hung in museums. Their stories captivated audiences across 12 species. Human literature spoke of struggle and triumph, of hope persisting through darkness, of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The Council species, used to thousands of years of stability and peace, found something compelling in human stories. These humans had survived when survival seemed impossible. They had overcome challenges that would have destroyed other civilizations. They carried scars but wore them proudly, as evidence of growth rather than weakness. Dr. Borum spent most of her time working with Engineer Gu. Together, they published research papers that revolutionized several fields of physics. Borum learned to see problems the way humans did, not as impossibilities but as puzzles waiting for creative solutions. Archivist Young Ho became friends with human historians. They shared stories of their people's pasts, finding surprising parallels. Every species had struggled. Every civilization had faced extinction at some point. The difference was that humans remembered their struggles vividly and shared those memories openly. Communications. Specialist Doyen worked closely with Ambassador Nari. He discovered that human diplomacy combined honesty with strategy. They never lied, but they chose their truths carefully. They understood that communication was more than just words. It was timing, tone, and context working together. Admiral Hyunwoo realized something profound. Humanity didn't just adapt to challenges. They grew from them. Every obstacle made them stronger. Every problem forced innovation. They carried a restless energy that the Council species had lost millennia ago. They still remembered what it meant to fight for survival. Then Intelligence Officer Yunbi discovered the conspiracy. Yunbi worked in Valtorian intelligence, monitoring communications for threats to Council security. She intercepted encrypted messages between the Zeleni and other militant factions. They were planning a vote to force humanity to accept restrictions on their technology and military capabilities. If the humans refused, the militants would push for their expulsion from Council space. She brought the evidence to Fleet Admiral Jiwan. Jiwan stared at the data, her face grave. This was a crisis that could split the Council. If the vote passed, it would force humanity to choose between restriction and isolation. If the vote failed, the militant factions might leave the Council entirely. Admiral Jiwan faced an impossible decision. She had fought for human integration from the beginning, but she also served the Valtorian Empire in the Council. If opposing the vote meant military conflict with the Zeleni, could she risk that? She called Hyunwoo to her office. He arrived within minutes. "They're going to force a vote," Jiwon said without preamble. "Either humanity accepts technological restrictions and military oversight, or they're expelled from Council space. The vote happens in 3 days." Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. Will it pass? It could. The militants have support from factions in 6 species. We have solid support from 5. The Brevik are undecided. Their vote will determine the outcome. What do the humans say? I don't know. I'm going to find out. Admiral Jiwan met with Ambassador Nari privately. She explained the situation honestly. When she finished, Nari was quiet for a long moment. Will you fight? Jiwan asked. If they try to restrict you, will you go to war? Nari's expression was sad. No, we didn't come here to conquer. We came to make friends. If the Council doesn't want us, we'll leave peacefully. But we won't accept restrictions. We won't give up our freedom to defend ourselves. We've learned that lesson too painfully. So you'll just go back to isolation? We'll explore other regions. The galaxy is vast. Eventually we'll find civilizations that want partners, not subordinates. Nari smiled slightly. But I hope it doesn't come to that. I've grown fond of you all. The day of the vote arrived. The Council chamber filled with representatives from 12 species. Cameras broadcast the session across the galaxy. Billions watched, knowing that this moment would define the future. Ambassador Nari stood before the assembled Council. She didn't plead. She didn't threaten. She simply offered a choice. You can accept us as partners and equals, bringing our strengths to share with yours. Or you can reject us and we will respect that decision and leave peacefully. But understand this. Humanity doesn't need your approval to exist. We will continue exploring, growing, and building whether you invite us or not. The only question is whether we do it together or apart. She looked at each representative in turn. We came seeking friends because we believe cooperation makes everyone stronger. We've learned that lesson through hard experience. Now you must decide if you've learned it too. The vote began. The chamber fell silent as each species cast their decision. The tension was suffocating. Wanted, but humanity had won. They were officially recognized as a galactic civilization with all rights and responsibilities. Warlord Kyung-soo stood and walked out of the chamber without a word. The Zeleni Empire withdrew from active council participation. Several other militant factions followed. They retreated to their territories, watching and waiting. The shadow of their opposition remained, but for now, peace held. Ambassador Nari thanked the council formally. Her voice was steady, but those who knew her well could see the relief in her eyes. Council leader Hanul embraced her, a gesture that broke protocol but felt right. Around the galaxy, billions of beings watched and wondered what came next. The immediate aftermath was busy with bureaucracy. Trade agreements needed signing. Cultural exchange programs required organizing. Joint scientific ventures demanded coordination. Admiral Hyunwoo found himself drowning in paperwork, but he didn't mind. This was the kind of problem he wanted to have. Human medical technology provided the first major breakthrough. Humans shared techniques for treating diseases that the Council considered incurable. Their understanding of biology, shaped by surviving on a death world, gave them insights no one else had. Within months, millions of people across multiple species received treatments that saved their lives. In return, Council scientists gained access to quantum displacement theory. Dr. Borum led a research team that combined human and galactic knowledge. They published papers that would reshape physics for generations. Borum realized she was witnessing a golden age of discovery. Human agricultural techniques transformed struggling colonies. Their methods for growing food in hostile environments came from centuries of colonizing harsh worlds. Planets that barely supported their populations became productive and prosperous. Joint military exercises showed the potential for unprecedented defensive capabilities. Human technology combined with Council experience created something neither could achieve alone. Captain Minho worked alongside Valtorian officers, teaching and learning in equal measure. 3 years after first contact, the true test came. A massive asteroid field, knocked off course by gravitational anomalies, threatened the Brevik homeworld. 4 billion people lived on that planet. Scientists calculated they needed 6 months to construct planetary shields. The asteroids would arrive in 4 months. There wasn't enough time. There weren't enough ships to evacuate 4 billion beings. The galaxy watched helplessly as the Brevik prepared for catastrophe. Then, humanity responded. 20 human vessels arrived within days. Construction ships, military frigates, and a massive engineering vessel called the Architect. Captain Yuna commanded the Architect, a woman known for solving impossible problems with creative solutions. She presented a plan that seemed insane. Instead of building shields, they would redirect the entire asteroid field using gravitational manipulation arrays. They would bend the field's trajectory, sending it harmlessly past the planet. The Council scientists said it was impossible. The mathematics worked in theory, but the execution required precision beyond current capabilities. One miscalculation and the field would accelerate toward the planet instead of away. The risk was enormous. Ambassador Nari stood before the Council again. She asked a simple question. Do you trust us? When we say we can do this, do you believe us? The chamber fell silent. 3 years ago, the humans had been unknown and frightening. Now they were friends and allies. But this wasn't just about trust. This was about 4 billion lives. If the humans failed, an entire civilization would die. Admiral Hyunwoo stood. He looked at Nari, remembering the scared but determined commander who had first met these mysterious strangers. He thought about everything humans had done since then. Every promise kept, every innovation shared, every friend made. Yes, he said clearly. We trust them. The Council voted to allow the attempt. The humans went to work immediately. 20 ships deployed gravitational manipulation arrays across a 1,000-mile sphere. The arrays formed a network of invisible forces that could bend space itself. The process took 36 hours of continuous operation. Every calculation had to be perfect. Every adjustment had to be precise. There was no room for error. Dr. Borum worked on the Architect alongside Engineer Gyu. She watched him make adjustments that seemed impossible, compensating for variables she hadn't even considered. She realized that human engineering wasn't just about better technology. It was about understanding that nothing ever went perfectly according to plan, and building systems that could adapt. The entire galaxy watched through live feeds. Parents held their children. Leaders prayed to their gods. Scientists ran calculations over and over, hoping to find errors but finding none. The asteroid field entered the manipulation zone. For a terrifying moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then slowly the trajectory began to change. Degree by degree, the field curved away from the Brevik homeworld. The humans made constant adjustments, compensating for unexpected variables, maintaining the delicate balance of forces. 36 hours became 40. 40 became 48. The human crews worked without sleep, sustained by stimulants and determination. Captain Yuna's voice remained calm and steady throughout, directing her fleet with the precision of a surgeon. Finally, the asteroid field passed. It curved gracefully past the Brevik homeworld, missing by a comfortable margin. 4 billion lives saved, an entire civilization preserved. The galaxy erupted in celebration. On the Brevik homeworld, people poured into the streets, crying and laughing and embracing strangers. In the council chamber, representatives stood and applauded for 10 minutes straight. Even the Zeleni, watching from their isolation, sent a brief message acknowledging the achievement. The Brevik leadership held a ceremony honoring the human rescue teams. They erected a monument with the names of every human who participated. Council leader Hanul delivered a speech that would be remembered for generations. Humanity reminded us of something we had forgotten, she said. Survival requires more than just maintaining what we have. It requires adaptation, innovation, and the courage to face challenges rather than avoid them. We had become comfortable in our long peace. We had forgotten what it meant to struggle and overcome. These humans who come from a world that tried to kill them every day never forgot. They carried those lessons across the stars to share with us. For that, we are forever grateful. 5 years after the mysterious ship first appeared on sensors, humanity was fully integrated into galactic civilization. Human colonies spread throughout council space, always adapting to local conditions, always contributing unique solutions to old problems. The Galactic Council restructured to incorporate human perspectives. Defense strategies improved with human military thinking. Scientific research accelerated through human innovation. Cultural richness deepened as human art and philosophy blended with galactic traditions. But challenges remained. The shadow coalition of opposing factions grew quietly in their isolation. Unknown threats lurked in unexplored regions. The galaxy was vast, and humanity's emergence revealed how much remained undiscovered. Admiral Hyunwoo often reflected on his journey. He had gone from a cautious officer afraid of the unknown to a bridge between civilizations. He understood now that fear of the different was natural but must be overcome. Growth came from embracing new ideas, not rejecting them. Ambassador Nari continued representing humanity with patience and wisdom. She built friendships across species, showing that differences could be strengths rather than weaknesses. She proved that peaceful exploration was possible even for species with violent histories. Dr. Borum became one of the most respected scientists in the galaxy. Her work combining human and council knowledge produced breakthroughs that seemed like magic. She taught young researchers from a dozen species that impossible just meant not yet solved. Captain Hajun commanded exploration missions to uncharted territories. The Pathfinder continued its original purpose, discovering new worlds and searching for other civilizations. Humanity's commitment to discovery had not wavered. On Unity Prime, a monument was erected commemorating first contact. It stood in a plaza where beings from all council species gathered. The monument was simple, 2 hands reaching toward each other across the void of space. Admiral Hyunwoo stood with Ambassador Nari at the dedication ceremony. Around them, children from a dozen species played together. Human youngsters taught Valtorian games. Brevik children listened to human stories. The next generation was growing up knowing that the universe was bigger and more wonderful than their parents had ever imagined. 5 years ago, we were unknown threats, Nari said quietly. Now we're partners, allies, friends. But this is just the beginning. There's so much more to discover, so many more beings to meet. Hyunwoo nodded. The galaxy is better for having you in it. We were stagnant, comfortable, safe. You showed us that true security comes not from isolation, but from growth. You reminded us that the universe rewards the brave and the curious. Above them, through the transparent dome, Stars shone across the infinite darkness. Somewhere out there, more unknown ships moved through space. More civilizations waited to be discovered. More challenges lay ahead that would test everything they had built. But humanity and the Galactic Council would face them together now.